But how do you feel about us sitting down and having a conversation with Nick Fuentes? And do you think that it's productive for people like Destiny or I to have conversations with people who are kind of white nationalists?
I'm of the mindset that folks should talk to whoever they want to talk to. I think if the topic is serious, then approach it with a serious amount of preparation. That's the only thing. So I don't think there's an issue with speaking with him, but if he's going to come on and say a bunch of wild stuff, you got to be able to know the material and you got to be able to rebut it to some degree. Or if you don't feel comfortable with it, then understand what it is, who you're bringing on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? Someone's going to come to me and say, I want to have a full-length conversation with you about how Israel's the greatest nation on earth and they're doing nothing wrong. I'm like, I'm not mad at that, but you at least have to have some of the Palestinian narrative in there, or else it just sounds like you shilling. You know what I'm saying?
I felt like, when I see Destiny doing it, I don't have any qualms with him doing it at all because he's so like ready to take on whatever his ideas are. With me, it felt kind of futile because it's like I'm just talking to somebody where this is their whole wheelhouse. Like they've spent their whole fucking life preparing to have this conversation with simpletons like me who don't know anything about race realism, right? Yeah. So it just felt like kind of useless in the sense of like, getting a million comments about how likable he is and everything. And I can't even deny it. Yeah, he's kind of a likable guy, even though he's got some ideas I don't agree with. But it feels kind of like
saying that or not.
Yeah, right. I know.
I'm crazy.
But it's like, it's kind of weird. Like, damn, okay, did I just do my part to sort of like make being racist seem chill to people?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And I had a couple black guys with me, and one of them was sucking his dick, and the other one, AD did what he could, but it wasn't, none of us were ready to really take him on,
That was my chief issue. Like, I remember when Sneako did it the first time, I'm like, yo, get this on, because I don't know what the fuck. I was there with Jidon, and we were just chatting, and all of a sudden, this dude's out here talking about, well, listen, the reason why black people have lower IQ, I was like, bro, what the fuck is this dude talking about? I've never even read up on any of this literature, but I'm not going to sit here and get emotional and start screaming at him, because then you look stupid. So I was like, Destiny could take the conversation, then it went from there, and then he did a good job of like combating that research, because I was not familiar, nor did I really want to be interested in it.
It's such a technical conversation once you start to really get into it.
Absolutely.
Because from what I've gathered, there isn't really much disagreement about the fact that there are discrepancies in IQ between races. What's up for debate is why that is the case and if IQ is even a good way of measuring intelligence in general, which is, again, very much not a conversation that is worth having aside from the data and the facts.
But think about how it looks optically as well.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay. Well, you're a white man.
If I made this my thing.
Hey, I'll be honest, like, you're a white man. I mean, you got two black dudes sitting here. Yeah. You brought this white dude who's like part of this party, and then he's just kind of like, well, listen, black people, the reason why you guys have lower, it looks crazy. It looks wild. And that's like one of my chief issues with Sneako one time is like, I'd had a conversation. I'm like, listen, you can have conversation with whoever you want. Just don't bring them on when I'm on, because I don't really want to have these conversations. And I look crazy because I can't refute any, so I look stupid. Right. And like 15 minutes later, this motherfucker brings him on. I'm like, you retard. So I don't think people shouldn't have these conversations. I think he should have a space to be able to talk about it. But if he's going to be talking about these like really edge kind of topics and he's having debates, it can't be just in front of folks who don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, because I felt kind of dumb because it's like my things that I brought up, he did such a good job dismantling them, because I'm like, oh, what about this clip of you, comparing? He said that a white woman having sex with a dog would be on a similar level of degeneracy to a white woman having sex with a black man. Super fucked up statement. But, he makes the argument of like, bro, I was 18 and it was like leaked audio or something. It's like he has everything on deck to be able to contextualize every bad thing he ever said to make it sound not that bad. Yeah. And then it ultimately, like, everything that I brought up that I had written down from looking at the Southern Poverty Law Center website was basically just like frivolous. It's not like, they're not like in-depth critiques of his worldview. They're just like sound bites of like, oh, look at this one offensive thing you said. AD's like, you said that black people don't jog. And I immediately knew what he meant, because it was like previously Nick had a conversation about Ahmaud Arbery and how he wasn't really jogging in that neighborhood and he was actually there to steal or whatever the fuck. And it was like, it's a soundbite. Yeah. It's like, and I didn't do any better. Like, we just didn't really like bring any gas to the fire.
I think you don't want to operate on gotchas. You don't want to be like, I'm going to get you with this. And I think it is good when people are well researched on their topics, even if it's stuff that you think is abhorrent or whatever. I think there should be a space where people can discuss these difficult topics and then be in depth about it, but it has to be across from people who know what they're talking about. And I understand what you were trying to do, what you were trying to represent the other side and be able to get that and like, oh, I got you on this. But it's a poor way to have a conversation with somebody who's extremely well read on any topic.
Right, because, and that's the thing about Nick Fuentes, he's so canceled that it's like kind of hard to like find like a good critique of him, or like, you know, to even find too much documentation about like his career or whatever.
It's not that hard. You just have to know what is it you're looking for when it's discussion. If
Yeah.
he's having a long form 2-hour discussion in regards to like Russia and Crimea or whatever,
Right.
he's probably got a lot of historical facts
Yeah, I have
facts wrong.
no business wading into that.
But exactly. So if you don't know it, then you just don't talk about it. That's why I wouldn't sit across from a bunch of people to have conversation. I'm like, this is not my wheelhouse. I'm not gonna just sit here and like, you know, just have a whole rant in front of my audience, and then I look crazy just standing there like, yeah, sure, brother.
Yeah.
So
But it's like, that's a, like if I were to give somebody advice on how to be a content creator, a big part of the advice is basically to take strong stances. You need to have an opinion.
Yeah.
New album comes out. If you want to talk about rap, you better not get on camera and say, yeah, shit was cool. It was cool. It was dope. I liked it. No. You got to have something to say. You got to
look
feel
at Speed.
something.
Speed going wild all the time. I show Speed. Shout out to him. You know, great job becoming the biggest YouTuber in regards to live streaming. That's amazing. But you know what I mean? People like those extreme reactions. So that's good.
But then for us, it's like I also feel like there's an important thing where if you want to be taken serious intellectually, you have to be willing to admit what you're not really educated about and what you don't deserve to really have a strong perspective on, and you know, stuff like that. It takes a lot of courage as a content creator to be like, listen, like this is just not my wheelhouse, so I'm kind of defer to other people but that it makes your perspective a lot less useless on there. But there also is a market. There's a lot of dummies out there who are like famous right-wing commentators and like famous left-wing commentators too. Look at the fucking Young Turks. It's like they're just like giving like boneheaded versions of that side's tribalism.
Yeah.
And that appeals to some people, you know. Destiny's very like complicated. It's like very, very in depth. I understand.
You became a big fan, huh?
I am, but I just also understand why he's probably not like getting invited on CNN all the time.
Yeah.
He's just like his platform is a little too nuanced for the average person, whereas like people like Dave Rubin.
Don't bring up these names. They make me cringe so hard.
Yo, we just hit 400,000 subscribers right here on the Clips channel. So if you want to help us out, click subscribe, get us to 500K. Yeah.